Now I'll show you how to make a histogram using your TI84 from an original data set. And you can see over here is our original data set. In order to enter that into your calculator, right, you have to go to the Stat button, which is right here. And in the top here, we have the Edit menu. First item is also Edit. You go into there and you get into your stat lists. Now there's already some information in L1, so what I'm going to do is go up to the heading, which is that L1 up top, and then I'll hit the clear button. Notice that at the edit line down here it's cleared, but until I actually hit enter it won't do it. There it is. And now I can start entering in my data, one number at a time. Which, given that I have 20 numbers, might take a little bit, so I'm going to pause this for a moment. Alright, so now you can see that I have entered all the numbers in. If I am at the bottom of the list and hit down, it'll bring me back up to the top. At this point, what I need to do is go to my stat plot to set that up. I can quit, I suppose, to get to the home screen. Go to my stat plot. Now the TI84 can do 3 different plots simultaneously. I only want to do one, so I'll use this first one. So I can choose any of the 3, but I'll choose the first one and hit enter. This gives me my stat plot menu. If it's not already on, I'm going to hit enter to make sure it's on. Now we have these 6 different types. Histogram is this third type, which again it's already selected for. If I wanted a different one, all I have to do is hit enter and it would switch. You can see that the parameters down below change depending on which one you select. I'm going to select histogram, and it's looking for an X list, which my data is in L1. And the frequency, and what this is asking is this one entry, the first entry of 18, how many times does that occur? And that really occurs once. Because this is original data list, each one occurs once. When we're given a frequency table, that's when we would enter frequency. So what we can do is check to see if there's any functions in. There aren't. I can hit graph, and it looks like I can only see some of this. Now with histograms, it's going to be important to work with your window settings. So let's go to the window settings, and we can set our X-min and X-max. We know the maximum value is 60, so we definitely need to increase our X-max. Maybe I'll just make that 80. And then your Y-min, oftentimes I like to do a little bit negative, that way I can see the x-axis. And Y-max, how many times do these things happen? Looks like the original data, we have 3. 3 is the biggest, but we might be grouping these. We can change the interval for the histogram. So maybe I'll put 6 for the Y-max, and now we can look at it. Oops. And one thing that we actually need to be very careful about is this X scale. X scale is the interval for your histogram, and so it needs to be at least 2, or the calculator really doesn't like it. Now if we graph it, we can see our data as a histogram. You can see there's sort of a spike down low. It seems to be a skewed data set, skewed down to the lower half. If we hit trace, then we can move around and get on one of these bars. Alright, so now you can see this first one is a minimum of 18, anything less than 20, so that's effectively 18 and 19, which you can see in the original data set there are 3 of those, which is why n is 3. And then if we move over from 20 less than 22, again that's 20 and 21, There's 3 20s, 2 21s, that's where it's 5. Now, if I go back to my window settings, and I change this X scale, and I make it 5, for example, and hit graph, I'm going to get a different interval. And it looks like I need to increase my Y max. Maybe I'll make that 10 now. There we are. And if we hit our trace, you'll notice that the interval goes from 15 to 20 now, because I entered in that X scale of 5. And so this is going to be 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, because it has to be less than 20. So everything less than 20, again, there are 3 of them in this case. That's why n is 3. We go to the next one, 20 to 25. We have 3 20s, 2 more 21s. We have a 22 and a 23. Has to be less than 25. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why X is 7. And so by changing that X scale, you can create any histogram with any interval that you want, so that you can see the right amount of detail. Again, as an example, if we make our X scale too big, if we make it 20, let's take a look and see what that looks like. Well, we're still getting actually some reasonable detail with that. Of course, we need to increase our Y max again. All right, we actually see this skewed trend, so that's that's giving us information. If we make it 50, then there's really just not a whole lot. Why is that starting from the negative? Oh, right, because that is where I'm telling it to start. The interval always starts from that X min. So if I make that 0, for example, and now you can see that it's starting at the 0, which is also another important control. So you can set the beginning of your intervals by changing that X min. And we can see we're starting to really not get very good detail here. We're losing a lot of information. It's just not very useful anymore. And in the extreme, you can combine all of your data, and then it's really kind of silly. There's no detail whatsoever. So from one extreme to the other, you can have too much detail in which you don't really see good patterns. You want to find that nice balance where you can see the pattern easily.